Weed is so easy to get now, but the culture that used to be attached to it feels like it's fading away. We didn't just make weed easier to get, we made it easier to use it without becoming that guy. In the past, it was harder to get,
let me get a nickel back.
or at least way less streamlined. You needed a guy, and that often meant waiting for them to get off their shift at Subway.
Hey, this isn't Taco Bell.
There were these unspoken rules of decorum, smoking rituals, the lingo. It was all this culture that was just below the surface, parts of it bleeding into mainstream, with bands like the Grateful Dead and Fish, and movies like Cheech and Chong and Harold and Kumar. Now, none of that stuff was designed. It just grew out of the culture. The legality,
Littering.
Officer, that's not ours.
and social stigmas helped to shape that as well. When something is taboo, like cannabis, it's not just a substance. It becomes a symbol. It created this group of others, outside of the box thinkers, rebels, burnouts. It played a part in how some people formed their social identities, or how society identified them.
I'm the dude, so that's what you call me, you know?
The difficulty of scoring or getting a sack
Yeah. You don't got any pot, do you?
was actually a bonding experience. Having to know somebody, setting up the meet, coordinating, the shared risk, the risk and the taboo around it created this sort of family or group of people that were in it. The inconvenience was exactly what forced a lot of the social aspects. The culture formed almost by accident because of these inconveniences and friction. Now we have dispensaries everywhere. In some states, there are more dispensaries than Starbucks. With so many locations, it's super convenient to grab and go, or just order online. Not just easier, but more options as well. You went from some mysterious schwag weed and shake to full menus with strains and THC percentages, with descriptions that sound more like vintage wine than dried flower.
A glass of our Sauvignon Blanc and this full-bodied Skywalker OG Kush. Pretty dank.
And then there's all the other stuff. The vapes, the gummies, the oils, drops, on and on. You went from needing to know somebody to just walking into a storefront. And those storefronts have benefits beyond the convenience and legality. Regulation and transparency makes for safer, cleaner, and more predictable products and experiences. You know what you're getting.
Bitch, you know what I want.
And that's all great stuff. Progress that helps keep weed clean and safe. And the older system was mostly risky, clunky, and built on some pretty unreliable people. A middle period existed right after medical cannabis cards arrived, but support structures like dispensaries weren't adequate. So you had people buying legal weed from a guy still, and being in the culture at the same time. And then you started seeing stuff like K2 and Spice in branded packaging in head shops. That started to erode the mental resistance. It was the first time weed looked like a commodity you buy at a Circle K, softening the taboo before the thing really hit the mainstream. It was a strange hybrid time where the risk was gone, but the corporatization hadn't fully arrived. But what got lost in the process are those very inconveniences that forced the social side of the culture. The culture has become more of an opt-in experience rather than something that was baked into it. The dependency on people, the need for coded language,
Secret code. Come on in.
that rebel culture and counterculture identity. It's hard to feel like a counterculture when the whole thing has gone corporate.
You buzzed?
No, Shaggy. Go back to sleep.
The old stoner identities and social tropes have already started to vanish in media. In the past, you had stoner characters in movies like Cheech and Chong, Harold and Kumar, Half-Baked, How High, Fast Times, Dazed and Confused, on and on. Characters that smoking weed wasn't just recreational, but a core part of their identity and personality. For me, the most modern one, and maybe the last real one, was Ilana from Broad City. Broad City ran from 2014 to 2019, and at that time, weed was still illegal in New York City where it was set. but it was legal in a bunch of other states. The two main characters had pretty different relationships with cannabis. Abbi used weed. Ilana was a full-on stoner, and that difference matters. Abbi kind of represents the more modern and casual way people approach it, like picking up a six-pack, an innocuous vape sitting at the bottom of your purse next to your mascara and chapstick. And since it's not as taboo anymore, the places where people use it have expanded, or people just don't care as much. It's in parking lots, traffic stops, even school drop-offs. The shift to gummies and vapes makes it so easy to use it in plain sight. The weed vape isn't just discreet, basically disguised. Another layer of friction and social debuff gets removed. It turns into something functional, no different from a nicotine vape. No big ritual, no big time commitment. The increased normalization and the ease of getting it, the convenience, the removal of a lot of restrictions on where you can use it. The whole relationship with cannabis, or now it's more accurate to say THC, looks drastically different than it did 10 years ago. Instead of getting a number from a friend and meeting in a Wendy's parking lot and making awkward small talk about pet snakes, you can order online, pick it up, and use it with maybe 2 minutes of human interaction total. The social aspects were mostly a byproduct of that friction and the difficulty and the legal issues. Weed culture,
By and large.
came out of pushback. And now, there's not that same pushback.
Yo, this motherfucker ain't one of us. He said he'd fuck a sheep. Wait, no!
Weed is still around, and the culture still does exist, but it's not nearly as loud. It kind of sold out and got a haircut and started working for the man.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.